And we're live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to TFC Live. This is Season 2's Christmas special. Way. I'll say hello to people that's on the panel. This is a open mic, so if you feel free to jump on if you've got a microphone and you want to contribute to the end of the season show. Like I said, it's a bit of a one-off. We're not really going to specifically talk about BP tonight, but we're going to sort of generalize it around that area. And there's a bit of trivia this evening as well, so and a few amusing points. So first of all, I'll say good evening, even to Robin. How are you?
Doing well, thanks, mate.
Good, excellent. I nearly finished it before I started. There we go. Ren, how you doing, mate? He's in. I know he is. He just said hello.
Hello, I'm doing well. Sorry, I was on mute.
All right, okay, mate.
And hope everyone had a great time with the weekend, Christmas, celebrating with family.
Yeah, it was good for this end as well. So yeah, enjoyed it, I have to say. And Venom's in. Hello, buddy. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good.
Good. He's come in to say hello for the PvP piece. So yeah, anybody else wishes to come on the open mic? It is a sort of an open mic night, and feel free to do so. We have got a few slides, just so it gives us a bit of a pathway, really. But they're sort of a bit of a handrail rather than a must do. Mostly because there's been a lot of updates. I think they sort of like did give us a ton of stuff to do, and then basically ran away and went on holiday themselves. So we'll share the screen and we'll have a little look. Yeah, Cut could come on the mic. I don't think we've ever been on one, to be honest. I've just seen him in chat there, so that'd be quite interesting. Anyway, there we are, TFC Christmas Special live. And what do we got tonight? Let's have a look. What does it say? We have stuff, some other stuff, more stuff, and a bit more. Okay. I didn't want to give any posh names, all right? So it's just all about stuff tonight. Okay. Do you notice Robin's got a new picture, by the way? So it's cute.
Yes, that's my Christmas picture.
It's your Quimbo.
Oh, it's so
cute. Yes, it is. Ho, 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 and all that sort of stuff. Yes. Right. Anyway, so first off, let's have a look at this then. Ooh, let's start with something that's a bit frustrating. So last week, as you know, we had GDR on, and we had a real good summary, actually, of the year. And he managed to stay on for the whole of the show, which is quite good, even though I managed to break it halfway through, so I apologize for that. But I think we managed to sort of, like, once we compacted everything down into each month, we not only realized that, my God, it was a busy year, some of the stuff was okay. I mean, we all know that there were some bad points of 2017, and compared to 2016, it wasn't a good year. But there were some good things in it. So it wasn't a total washout. It was a frustrating year as far as I was concerned, but it wasn't a total washout. I don't know. What do you guys think? Ren?
Yeah, putting it together, it was kind of interesting because I was like, oh, I forgot that was last year. And oh, really? Was that last year kind of thing? There was, the daily chests, that kicked in. That was a really good thing. They gave us some more dock space, although I need some more already. So there was a couple of good things that came out throughout the year. And we all tend to remember the negative things, but I think they did do a few things that helped out with some of the stuff during the year.
Yeah. Then what about you on the PvP front? How's across the year in general?
There's been quite a few good things, but I think in general it's been outweighed by some of the negative things.
Would you say that's through inconsistency or just through power creep?
It's not just power creep. It's a lot to do with bringing things out when they're not needed. Bringing things out that are really overpowered and then immediately nerfing the life out of it, which is incredibly unfair to the people who put their time and money into it. So there has been good things come out of it. A lot of good hulls, a lot of fun, but it has been very costly. And at the end of it, it could have been done a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, Ren, what do you think, mate? Well, Ren disappeared for a piece of the game this year as well because life changed. But what do you think, mate?
It was ups and downs. I mean, very wild ups and downs, I think. I mean, just looking, I only do PvP when I'm happy with the game and I'm kind of caught up on other things.
Mm.
And I think there was a point when I was doing PvP with prides Then the whole rival thing started happening, and I wasn't caught up. It was too fast, too much. Remember at first?
Mm-hmm.
Then the Gluttonies came out, and I didn't. It was again too much, and I screwed that, and I wasn't doing PvP. And then the Rages came about, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna jump back into PvP with that. But then they got neutralized in like just 2 weeks, and again, screw that. And now I'm back in a place where like I have 2 PvP fleets. Like finally I finished my King's Rate a week ago or a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Sinful Gluts, which now we're kind of neutralized again, but are really good for a few months or a month and a half, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it did seem like, particularly the last. I mean, forget the Rages, because they unfortunately they were overpowered. There's no doubt about it, and we all know that. And they basically nerfed those just to. I think there was a slight oversight when they brought them out, and I think they absolutely made a huge mistake, making it quite as powerful, and then went the completely opposite way. But in general terms, you know, I'm thinking back to what GDR said right at the very, very early part of the year. Pretty sure it's GDR, but you know, you get to play with your hulls for 4 weeks, 5 if you're lucky, if it's a 5-week month, and you can mostly cane most bases, and then like for then 2 weeks after that, you can get in a percentage of bases, and then people are allowed to catch up and sort of like they can defend their base, and then the whole off, which is about 2 months down the line, is being a bit ropey, and you know, people have sort of like worked it out.
Yeah, but that assumes, I mean,
again, you know,
Mark, sorry, but that's only good for people who are instantly coining the hull. So for the first 2 weeks, you have a free run.
Yeah.
But that's extremely expensive to keep doing that every time they release a new toy.
Yeah,
extremely expensive.
And that's stage 2. You know, having and Venom's here as well from obviously STS7 sort of stuff. You know, having, and I know your PNS sort of stuff. So having people in the top tiers, just because you have very big alliances and represented here by 2 really big alliances, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody in that alliance can charge ahead. There's still a percentage there that just can't do it.
Yep.
You know, and have to focus in other areas of the game and contribute to the alliance in a different way, and that must be really frustrating for someone in a big alliance that just can't do their bit.
Oh, indeed.
I would be terrible. I'd be like, I'm freeloading. I'd be awful. I wouldn't do it. Well, I mean, you know, I mean, yes, you wouldn't leave your alliance and that sort of stuff, but you must be really annoyed, and I would be really, really frustrated. And I think that's where a lot of people in 2017 decided that was enough for them.
Yep, I know quite a few people have left. The leader of Gimp's left twice. So it's not just the lower down players. There's a lot of the top players. You feel just the same. I felt just the same a while back as well, where you miss one thing and your game's ruined for a few weeks. You literally sit being farmed.
And it goes back to the roller coaster ups and downs I was talking about. So it doesn't create a fun experience throughout the year. It creates a love and hate situation where you actually spend probably more time hating and then just a week or 2 loving it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the
it's
best.
Bad. I mean, like even like Venom saying, the big whales. If you spend 100, I don't know, Mark. You tell me, because I think you coined your wages. $100,
$220.
220, and in 2 weeks that investment it's neutralized, and now you're confined again to the average base. How's that good?
Well, it isn't. I mean, I did it for twofold reasons. I must admit, you know, I at that period of time, I sort of had that bit of slack about, and I thought to myself, well, you know what, I'll jump back at the top and see what it feels like, you know, because it's been like a couple of years before I've been able to do that. So I thought I would have a little dig around the top there, and I had some fun for a couple of weeks, knowing that I was on ever decreasing circles. It was going to be chopped short, and I wouldn't get to live for very long. But it was considerably less than I thought it was going to be. But yeah. Hello, buddy. How are you? You all right?
Hi. First time on.
Yeah, I was going to say, welcome.
Yeah, I've watched the road sausages for a while.
So, what are you in an alliance, buddy?
Yeah.
You are, yeah.
We've got a fair few in our alliance. We're not one of the big ones, but we are full. where we've got 100 players, and
Wow.
our top levels they do really well, and you know, they're not really getting hit by a great deal of people at the moment. They get peaked, and then they move up. They tend to move on to the lower level. They're the ones that haven't quite got all of the up-to-date stuff, and farm them tend to be what happens with the PvE at the moment.
That's a bit internal in the game. It's inevitable that's going to happen, isn't it? You know, you go to the top one and you go, okay, for now, like he's got the right trap, he's got the hope, he might have the right OP gun fitted. Let's go down a level. Oh yeah, he's the one I'm going to annihilate and
Yeah,
call myself a hero. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'll do it myself. If you go in, you look at it. I can't really get into that one. You go hit somebody else.
Yeah, I mean the known knowns, and that's the smart player. The smart player, you know, I mean, yes, we can all try once your ally points are done and you've finished all your tasks you have to do, but there's no point going hitting yourself and just causing yourself lots of repair. True. Unless you're a super corner.
And Mark, to shift gear a little bit, on the PvE side of the house, and I know some people would disagree, but the game has been very smooth after, like when we started the assault cycle. I think the second half of this year for PvE was very predictable. It performed well. I mean, other than now, right now, when people with hunters are screwed, like you have on your slide. But, you know, I think the whole assault cycle with the Skyfires and Phoenixes, and now during the raid with the Fangs and the Hunters was pretty good. Except now people with Hunters are getting screwed. Right? But it was a rocky first half and PvE, and second half was much better.
Yeah, I mean, that brings us quite nicely back to the PvE aspect, which is what we're looking at now. I mean, you know, here's a PvP hull which you gain through doing PvE content. And the problem is, you know, being told early on that you don't need both fleets to succeed. And that's why I put the bit obvious bit right at the top that, you know, had you gone down and a lot of people don't like driving subs. Had you gone down the sub route, you'd been fine. But had you gone down the hunter route, you don't stand a freaking chance.
Yeah, you can't even coin, as far as I know. I mean, even if you try to coin, you can't.
No, it's instant death. You can't even get through one thing. And I think the frustrating part about that is, as we've seen a couple of times throughout the year, is the communication. I mean, the way the raid was set up, you could go either subs or you could either go hunters. And if you only had one, you had plenty of ways to get points and value for getting points and able to muddle through it. And then with all of the other TLCs, even with the Skyfire Phoenix TLC, although, you know, I didn't have the Skyfires built, and although I had to coin a bit, I could still get through the TLC. And this is completely 180 to that. If you do not have the fangs, then you're basically, you know, SOL and you can't do it. And rumor is the next TLC for the skill hull is the same way. You're apparently able to get the hull and I think the weapon, but not all pieces of it if you don't have both fleets.
Yeah,
and
I've got a slide on that in a second. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's even worse. That is.
Yeah, no notification from Kick. So all of the goodwill that was brought up from the raid, from people able to get their points for low cost and had fun and was able to catch up and do a whole lot of stuff, and, you know, then something like this happens and you run into a brick wall, and yeah, so very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, how you guys? I mean, I know a lot of people have done this, and what is good about this one? If you have got the subs, let's go for the ones that the haves and the have-nots. Okay, for the haves, you know, and some people took the sub over the hunter because if you are a skilled driver, you can get away with 90% no damage, and if you have the let's do the dreaded charge armor, you know, which is a luxury item. Okay. You know, you got ahead because that was issued first and that sort of stuff, you know. So now you're in a position where actually, if you don't even want this hull, which is the glorified Punisher for obviously PvP and that sort of stuff, and I certainly am not building it because I know it's an end of year round off 6.5 and it'll get gazumped in no time at all.
It's pure garbage.
Yeah, I don't rate it at all. I've had one single hull, and in fact, I know Padre came on my base and he just let the Mort smash it for a bit just to see how much it would take and that sort of stuff, you know, which was interesting, you know, and I watched that playback a couple of times. But I don't think it's got enough now with you know, the new OP gun that's going to come out and that sort of stuff. And I didn't have that fitting on my base, you know. Yeah, it's a stocking filler. So, but what is nice for this TLC, which is going to piss off the hunter owners, is the fact that all those PvP ship tokens that's in there, there's stacks of them, and they're not limited to any particular type. So
yes, Conquerors.
The Conqueror tokens, there's a stack of them in there, so you can store them up and use them later on when the new tier 7 ships are going to come out, and then someone's going to jump ahead massively just by having submarines and not by having hunters.
15 days. I mean, if you do mastery all 5 times, you can stack 15 days, 5 times 3-day tokens of Conquerors, which, you know, can
That's
give you a big leg up.
Isn't it? Huge imbalance in the game. So you know, 2 weeks worth of tokens there for someone that unfortunately chose to go down the hunter route. You know, so you've been double slapped in the face there, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, talking about slaps in the face, I mean, you guys just brought up the charged armor, which I think at some point Doom Rooster or somebody said was a luxury item, but clearly for the past 6 months have not been anything such as a luxury item. I mean, they are the difference between, you know, performing the raid and being stuck with massive repair bills, or not having the same DPS output because the other regular armors are so heavy. So you cannot put out the weapons and specials you need. So, you know, it's clearly designed to run either a very lightweight D2 level armor or charged armor, period.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know what you guys think of the panel, but I like charged armor simply because that it fixes for free. No other reason apart from that. I don't really care about the stats if I'm on a skill hold, because if I drive properly, I shouldn't get too much damage. But if I do make a slight mistake, A, I've got a bit of a buff, but B, you know, I can send it back in to get it fixed, and all of a sudden, or I can just exit the target if it does have the exit option, and the charge comes back up again, you know, whereas beforehand, and I think when we were doing these sort of things, you know, we're all using D2 this and D1s and all that sort of stuff, you know, because nobody wants to have horrendous repair times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pay for the build up front and the time to put it up front, which obviously was changed from when it was first released. But I do like the not repair time. I will give Kicks one thing, and I think that's probably a direct result of the angst from the players, and that was they took them out of the locked store, and they've kind of kept them out of the locked store. Yeah,
true. But I think they should be now in the FM. I think those, particularly the older ones, the X and the M and that sort of stuff, you know, I think it wouldn't do any harm just to put one in tier 4 and that sort of stuff, so people can get one, whether it be at the top and have a chest and it comes up with a random number of you know, that sort of stuff. Not down the bottom. Because, you know,
I know there was some discussion when the limiteds first came out that they would never be able to be included in the FM because of the way that they were coded, but there's no reason why they can't run the monthly TLC for the armors. And by monthly TLC, I mean, don't take the last version of the TLC, dial up the damage and make it harder to get any of the new armor. You know, even if you break it up into like a lower level one for some of the older armor, and then maybe a tougher one for some of the new armor, but make it so that people can do that. I know there were folks in the raid that actually gave up on getting hulls because they absolutely had to have the charged armor for their FM. And the only place for them to get it was either the raid or the TLC, and they didn't have the fleets to do the TLC because they didn't have the charged armor kind of thing.
They'll catch 22.
Yeah.
They need to get out of their heads that it isn't just a luxury item, it's a requirement.
Yeah.
And the price is outrageous. You shouldn't be spending anywhere near the amount of points in the raid for the armor. It shouldn't be even half that of the actual hull that's supposed to go on. It's a needed item. They really, really need to look at that because they're doing it unbelievably wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
and it does get cheap. I mean, even though it gets cheaper over time, I think like explosive charged armor last time was like 2 or 3 million points. Still, it's their gold mine every raid is charged armors.
Well, you know, there were people that were saying, "Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's only one full set of S targets," which is great if you've got both sets of fleets and you can drive well, and you know that's fine. But not everybody has those fleets, and in order to get to the S targets, you need to have the charged armor in order to beat them. You know, so it again catch 22, and so yes, I think the price could be looked at because anybody the higher levels that, you know, flat out go ahead and get the 10 charged armors are going to get it anyway, you know, whether it's the lower price or the higher price. It's the mid to lower players that need the opportunity also to get that, to be able to at least try and keep up.
Yeah, that's frustrating me for me is it seems with the creep of the last 6 months that the repair coefficiencies of the targets and the cost to do the targets has been done with charge in mind. So those that don't have the charge, it's an epic repair cost, and it's not cost effective. That's what it seems to me, but I don't know. Anyway, there we go. So, like I said, the March to War, you know, Venom, what's that cannon called? I can't remember. I've won it, but I haven't fitted it. But I think you've got it, haven't you?
What, the giant pack cannon?
Yeah, the big pack thing that goes on top of your OP.
BFG.
The BFG. The BFG gun. the BF gun.
See.
So it fires quite slow, but when it fires, it makes a big mess. Is that right?
Yeah. It's an odd one. We've done a lot of tests, or I've done a lot of tests. The gun itself will do about 20 to 25% damage to a King's Writ. It'll one-shot an Inquisitor with 90k deflection, but it'll only do about 40 to 50% on the new hull, which has less. So something is not quite right with it.
It's called the kinetic motion cannon.
Yeah, I've seen that as well in the chat. Thanks, buddy. Cheers, mate.
So I'm working on something to send across to them just to say something's not right here with the math. Because 90k shouldn't die one shot, yet 83.4 isn't, and then only doing 20% to something that has what, 20,000 more deflection. So
yeah, it seems random, doesn't it?
It's really random, but if you can get it, I would put it on. The old OP weapon is well out of date now. It doesn't really do much to anything. So yeah.
Did I mention how happy I am with the new Omega weapon?
Do you like it, do you?
Oh, it was my idea.
Was it?
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, not the numbers. Like, I gotta be very clear. Not the numbers or the damage type, just the visual and the name. Because I was teasing GDA and GDR that the next Omega weapon should be like from Star Blazers. The motion gun, the wave motion gun from Star Blazers. And they didn't know what it was. And I'm like, okay, I posted a clip, or George jumped in and posted a clip, I think, showing the gun firing and how it looked like. So the design, if you look, especially the interior there, the blue area, how you see the design in there, it's all just like the Star Blazers gun, the wave motion gun. And this one, they somehow factored in motion in the name. So it's pretty, it's cool.
Yeah, it's good. I like it, and I think it's a nice one. And getting away from, you know, if you're gonna, I'm glad they haven't gone for a missile next or something like that. You know, so it's something different. I like it. It's good. Okay, so March to War TLC, it's out there. I feel sorry for the guys that haven't got the subs, because obviously, you know, and it's not like, oh, we're better than you because we've got subs and you haven't, sort of stuff. Some people chose to go down one avenue and not the other because we were told that you could do that. Okay, for that mistake, and it's Kickstarter's mistake, people cannot get that OP gun. They can't get the siege loader, the new one, and that sort of stuff, and they certainly can't get that ballistic weapon. It's not just a ballistic weapon, that amazing weapon that's got a multitude of sort of like different options. So
you're talking about the chain gun?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Go on.
So the chain gun, if you read the stat block, it gives 150,000 of every damage type.
Yeah,
all
that's what it says.
Divided by 15 shots, so each shot will be dealing 10k of every damage type. 10 ballistic, 10 penetrative, 10 explosive, 10 concussive, blah, 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 right?
Yeah, across all 6 types, yeah.
But building damage is only 22.5 thousand, and it doesn't specify the type. So I had that question, I was discussing that the other day. If building and wall damage is just 22.5k, does it override all the damage types to that value of 22k just ballistic? Or does that only override the ballistic and the other values remain untouched? How does that work?
Well, that's a good question. Having not built the hull, I don't know, mate, to be honest.
So, and that's why, I mean, to me, it's very clear that chain gun on, for instance, a base defense ship would be great. You know, it's
On
an
the
option,
yeah.
right? Because 10K of everything against whoever's coming in.
On the habit, yeah, on the habit, be quite good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I have no idea how it performs against buildings. I mean, is it just going to do 22.5K ballistic against building? Or is it going to do 22.5K divided by 15, right? Is it going to do 22.5K ballistic and 150K of all the other 5 damage types still? Or do they all go away and it's just that one number? That I don't know.
We can see now. I just whipped this up 2 seconds ago when you started talking about it. It's just a simple malice because everyone has malice tokens lying around.
Yeah.
So
what damage types we've got there attacking?
You're going to have the stats exactly what he was saying there. I've just went.
Yeah, I mean, if you just stop your mouse over the gun there, and you see the building and wall damage just 22K.
Yep.
So my question is, does that only override the 150K ballistic, or does it override all the 150Ks we have of all damage types?
Based on what I've seen coming into mind, I don't think it does override it.
It should override at least the ballistic one.
Hmm.
At least, right? Because that's the building damage. And that usually overrides the main damage type. Now, it should not override the other 5, but I'm not sure.
It shouldn't. You're right. But obviously things are getting easier to understand because obviously the prints are simpler these days. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, the Twin Blade was.
Yes, it was. Yeah, you know, you're right.
The King Writ was simple. King's Writ.
King's Writ was very good. Yeah, one of the best in the latter half of the season, I think. To be honest, I've really enjoyed that, and obviously the flag for the glut has been brilliant as well. A great addition. So I've enjoyed both of those. Right. So yeah, targets frustrating. Fleets, you got to be picky, or sorry, say that the TLC is picky. Prizes, they're pretty good. Some good stuff there. Timing, I think it's come at a pretty low sort of period. It's been okay. So not too bad, but you know, a bit of forward notice, guys. Next time, Kixeye, if you're going to put a TLC and then run away on your holidays, a little bit more of as a scripter when you release it in the release notes, because you've just sort of like dumped it on us, and it's a bit naughty, I think, to be honest. That's my personal feeling. Shall we move on? Right, there we go. A bit of trivia for you because it is Christmas. Where did the name Boxing Day for us in the UK and the Commonwealth and that sort of stuff? Okay, then Boxing Day, we have this term, all right then. So it's not that new, but it's not that old either. I don't know if you've ever even heard of it, Ren. Have you?
Oh yeah, it's Boxing Day holiday here in Canada today.
Oh yeah, of course, yes, of course. In Canada it is, yeah, but
not in the US. In the US, I think people are working today.
Yeah. So for those that yeah, for many of them, it's a working day, you know, and it just depends. But for us in the UK, there's sort of like you know, thoughts that it sort of goes back to you know, the days of old when there was the gentry and that sort of stuff, and everybody was for the year, you know, including on Christmas Day, you actually worked for them as the landowners, and you basically then at the end of that you got given on Boxing Day basically all their leftovers. And that's what it was all boxed up, and you took it home, and anything else they wanted to give you as well, brace of pheasants or a bottle of port or whatever it was, and then you went home.
That second item there shouldn't be a question; it's a fact.
Well, I don't know because there's no proof of it.
Oh, okay.
So, but some people say it's the first day of deliveries and goods getting delivered again, and then somebody says actually it's the churches. Actually, it was the day they opened up their boxes for their collections and they dished it out to the people, the needy. So that was also why it's called Boxing Day. So if anybody has a definitive answer, because it isn't on anywhere on the internet, and everywhere I go, it says there are many reasons for Boxing Day. But the bit of trivia at the bottom. So in the old days, and not long ago, and my brother's in line, definitely, because I just saw him, we used to go and do things like follow the hunt. That was my Boxing Day treat. You know, you get all these presents as a child, and then your parents drag you out, and you have to run around following a hunt. What you do if you live in the country anyway. Nowadays, people don't do that sort of stuff. Well, some do, okay? But most people seem to go down the beach, jump on in Santa suit and just jump in the sea, swim around for a bit, get freezing, and then wrap up warm and go back home again and drink some more alcohol. So I like the newer version personally. But
Australia Day, it's Beach and Barbie Day.
But dressed as flowers and Santas. I'm not sure. That looks something like Nuki or something that does to me down in the southwest. But yeah, it's probably a bit warmer where you are. Talking of down in the warmer weather, it's toxic. Hello, mate.
Good morning, all. How are we?
Good morning
Merry
to you,
Christmas.
buddy. Merry Christmas to you. You okay?
Yeah. No, Santa Claus actually dropped by. He's still stuck in a chimney, actually.
Do you need chimneys down where you are?
No.
I'm gonna say, if you light a fire, mate, you must be mental.
Oh, yeah. We're all pyromaniacs down here.
It's good anyway. So there we go. Trivia fact then, Boxing Day. That'll affect obviously, you know, the guys down in Oz as well, because you know, it was the old colonial things. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. Bit of rubbish about Boxing Day. Shall we? Let's move on. I did say tonight we don't all be serious.
I have a question before we move on.
Yes, mate.
Not about Boxing Day though. The hunters, right? I have my fleet, but I'll be honest, I only and ever only use my hunters, I think, against the hunter elite target. I never actually tried the hunters against the 80s in raid. Did they perform well?
Obviously not as good as the Fangs did. The 83 was just horrible. In fact, I reported it because there was like this rabid goblin shark that was in there. I actually took more damage in the 83 than I did in the hunter elite target. They get through it, but to me the damage was too high.
Right, but they were able to. So what's killing the TLC is the fact that I think out of the 5 targets, 3 are versions of the Fangtooth elite target, right?
Yeah, number 3, I think it is.
4 and 5. 3 is the elite from October, 4 is the elite from November, and 5 is the elite from December. All for the Fangtooth.
Yeah, there's no give in it either. It's not like you can do 3 with a little bit of damage. I took mine in there, even though everybody said the damage.
No. Yeah, I've seen the hunters. They get evaporated, sublimated,
right.
just as soon as they get in touch with one ship. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
It doesn't look like this gun's doing 22,500 damage. Just saying.
Is it doing more?
Well,
No,
if you
less.
look at that warehouse melt, it just goes down.
No, sorry, now I'm confused. Is the gun doing less or more than 22k against buildings, you think?
I think it's doing more.
Okay, so it's probably only overriding the ballistic 150 down to 22, but it keeps the other secondary damage types as it was in the past.
Possibly.
Okay, thank you.
I like the fact you're using a malice. I like malices. I've always liked them.
They were always underrated.
Yeah, I mean they made great tanks. I built one as a tank, and it was brilliant for a while.
I built mine just for tests. Yeah, there was
Like you said, you have tokens, right? I mean, I think most people have them.
Yeah. Anyway, it's yeah, pretty decent, I must admit. Quite liked it. Right, so let's get back and let's jump on. So where would we get to? We got to having a look at the VXP weekend, obviously, which we've just completed. Targets, yeah, again. So the 100 target was the one to go and obviously rank up your buckies and that sort of stuff. Bit interesting, obviously, for the defending fleets. Did everybody work out the conundrum that you know, if you could manage to kill the 100 completely, you managed to get 3 times 10k of VXP for a defender. So you didn't actually have to take your defenders out. That's if you could kill the 100. Or
it was so easy. The one of my defenders, I think I ranked it the Omega with 5 of those tokens. Only 5. So you know.
Yep. It was a little bit different from the last time they did this. It was with one of the Fang tokens, and I was stuck on a long conference call, so I just went out there and smashed a bunch. Got a lot of tokens, but they only gave away a single token that time. This time it was 3 per target, so it was well worth. Even if you almost killed your cannoneer fleet, it was well worth it for the 30k VXP. Yeah,
and I did mine. You can see, I mean, that's mine. I stacked up 16 spare now, and it's 10k a time, so you don't need very many. And, you know, I didn't have much time to do some, but I got myself some spares just in case I wanted them. So, but I quite liked it. I mean, yes, it was the old pop-up, annoying, you know, sort of like previous raid sort of target. But if you used to driving them, you drive it around in the big circle, and then kill the center gun afterwards, sort of stuff. You know, you could do it damage free, even if you had to refresh your game again afterwards, sort of stuff. You know.
Yeah, just a point. Yeah, just a point on it being the old target. There were a lot of people that were less than enthused with how their bucks performed in that target. I mean, that was an old raid target before charged armor was even invented, and obviously a couple of raids ago. So don't base how your hull did on an old target.
Yeah, and GDR actually did hint on that when he was on the show. This series will not be the pop-up targets and that sort of stuff coming into this new one. They are going to do different sort of targets. So not that we've seen them, but it's definitely not going to be the pop-up targets for the new raid format. So the damage types and damage locations and the valuables points of what you get for each sort of thing, it will be completely different.
It was even, I gotta say, it was even cute to see how many people posted, you know, just saying, oh, looks like XI will keep last year's target for next raid.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like, really?
That's never happened, to be honest, ever.
It'll never happen.
Doesn't even happen in the FM, does it? Frustratingly.
Can we base how well this new ship will do against the ironclads?
No.
Nope.
Because in the expedition, I have to use an ironclad, the flagship ironclad, as a tank, because the Buccaneers, 4 of them, fully armored. I don't have charged armor because I wasn't on long enough. But without charged armor, they take an unbelievable amount of damage compared to the ironclad.
Interesting.
Hey, cool. Hey, Trent, you'll get.
What's going on?
How are you, brother? Good to see you.
Oh,
mate.
I'm pretty good. You probably noticed I sound better now. I got better headphones.
It does sound better. It's not all crackly and horrible like it was before.
Like I was in a fishbowl.
Yeah, exactly. Terrible. Saw some pictures of you, little lad. He looked like he's having a good Christmas.
Oh, he had a great Christmas. He was gone by about 3:15 yesterday, but I get him back tomorrow.
Super, mate. It's good to hear. So we're up to VXP at the moment, mate. We was just saying, like, how was your VXP weekend? Did you manage to get any buckies? And did you manage to rank anything?
Yeah, I got my 4 Buccaneers skulled, and I got all of my. I know it's probably was dumb, but I built all 5 of them new puns and skulled them too.
No, you never did.
Yes, I did.
Oh, if I was a rich man, yabba-dibba-dabba.
But why was that? Did you really need a Conqueror fleet that much?
I honestly jumped the gun on it. After I built them, I got to looking at it and doing some builds, and I was like, you know what? These aren't worth the shit, really.
Yeah, the only way they can take some punishment is if you load them up with that sinful scattergun. Otherwise, they just die.
Yeah.
Oh, they melt with that too. Don't worry.
Well, don't get me wrong. Mine only have 1 of the new guns on each. They're not fully built.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. You built the shells for ranking.
Yeah, I built this. Yeah, I just built the shell with 1 of the new guns on it. So
that's not so bad.
Not that bad.
All right, you can just drive around looking cool, but doing nothing.
At least you realized before you finished them.
Yeah, and then I did like. Actually, one of my alliance mates, he had cannoneers, and I never got a full fleet of cannoneers. I had Hardlock ironclads, and he could go into them hunter targets and prep it down to 1 of them little little wall things left, and then I could go in and just load it up on defender tokens.
Well,
I had
that's great.
I had like 50 of them, 50 of them suckers stacked up.
Hey, not bad, mate. Not bad. So yeah, so that sort of confirms the fact we were just talking about the pun replacement. You know, the PvP version of the pun, and whilst a quick look, it looks amazing, and you think, hang on, get these together and that sort of stack. But actually, it's an end of the year sort of stocking filler that I don't think anybody will probably do anything with, to be honest. But
yeah, not to mention that new weapon on the top of the outpost. It fix it up.
Yeah, it makes a mess of them, doesn't it? Yeah. And they don't turn very fast either, do they? So anyway.
No.
So good. Ranking siege fleets. Clearly, you can only rank the auto hull, which we'll go on to the siege stuff in a minute for the siege raid, which is coming in the spring. It's coming in the new year. But we've only got the Bucky. So interesting to see there was an awful lot of tokens out on offer. Did you see them? I got like a 30 days worth of build tokens for like a gazillion pounds, and there was like loads of VXP stuff, which I thought was a bit pointless because they've already done the VXP weekend.
Yeah, but I saw what you're saying, like 30 Buccaneer build tokens for $99, I think it was.
And that's only 3 ships.
There was a pack of 10 and a pack of 4.
And that's
about
really only
right, yeah.
that's only maybe 3 ships, really, because they're like 10, 11-day refits with just one gun on them.
I think loaded, the buckies were coming at 15 to 17 days, depending on what you put on them, but that was like the average full build time. So 30
Right.
days would let you build almost 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
So what do y'all think? You think they're going to come out with the flag of the Buckies?
Of course.
Oh,
I hope
yeah.
so.
Only build 4. I wouldn't go any more than that. And there's other things you can put in front. And in fact, we can talk about when we get to the siege raid. I'd like to get people's views on crews and that sort of stuff. But builds as well. I mean, we had I think it was show 50 when we were going through the some Bucky builds, weren't we, and that sort of stuff on the open mic. And in fact, I reposted that for somebody today who was asking about it. Some interesting stats there, and the critical overload of the obviously the special, the
Blue goo.
man, isn't it? The pack man is the man special is the interesting thing. We're not really sure how that's going to perform yet.
Yeah.
It's an interesting special, and without it, there's a different avenue to go down. With it, it limits what you can. You can't use nuclear accelerator 2.
There's so many questions and we have no answers. And it's the other thing that I think I became a bit annoying on some threads in the page, because people kept like passionately defending their point of view. No, you should build it this way. No, you should build it that way. And I just kept posting, it's all a guess. You're just guessing. We're all just guessing. And I think people are about to tell me to F off. You know what I mean?
Hey,
float off where? I can't imagine where you would go, mate. So,
but before I forget it, I noticed the other day there's not any updated builds on the actual Forsaken Council page. Have y'all brought that up or anything?
Yeah, so we're not as moment, mate. So what we've basically done when we discussed it offline on our admin page and that sort of stuff. So that's why Andrew puts the dates of those holes on there. Now, the latest ones, particularly, we've been put them on our own page, as in on the Facebook page, and there hasn't been that many combinations. So what we thought we'd do is we probably try and refresh before we get into season 3, and then we'll probably just start a fresh set. And then put those into archives, so people that are new and coming into the game can have a look at them sort of stuff. But we'll start fresh from season 2. It really does get quite unwieldy and massive, to be honest.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we should review. I mean, we're talking about reviewing all the builds on the page and clear it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And archive old stuff and whatnot. I keep doing my videos of builds, but a lot of people don't like watching videos about how to build things. They just want the link.
And even if you put the link down in the description, they still go, "What's the build?" You know, you go, "It's in the description." I do the same thing as Ren, and I either put it at the end of the video, you know, or I put it at the descriptor, but it's still not good enough for some people. You know, I get it. Some people are watching on the mobile phones and they don't see all the stuff. So,
people are lazy.
Yeah, but that's human nature, and time's money. You know, especially in this game.
So what are we watching on Venom's screen? Is this
it's an expedition, isn't it?
He is, but we'll come to expeditions in a minute. You just keep playing there, mate, and we'll come to that in a second because I've got a slide for that. Because that's debatable, that one.
He has the ironclad flag leading the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, by the way, they look huge on screen, don't they?
Yeah, big fat beetles gone wrong.
That's exactly what my alliance mate dubbed them, was beetles.
Yeah, they look like scarab beetles gone wrong, don't they? But
yeah, he's from Australia. He called him beetle, and I just started cracking up laughing.
To me, they look like ticks. To me, they look like ticks.
So there we go. We're on to the expedition screen now. All right, then. So let's have your thoughts then. So it started off, as far as I'm concerned, bloody hard and bloody pointless. That was my first thoughts. All right, hard and pointless for many, many reasons. Now you can discuss, because I don't think it is anymore, or as bad as it was. There's been some updates, hasn't there?
I think there was the shock at first. I mean, new target. I know I did the first one with Phoenix. I did it wrong. And Pain Train pointed it out to me that I should actually be keeping the Phoenixes on the auras instead of avoiding them. And, you know. But after you learn the targets, like I did the Siege ones, and it's the only one in my mind that's worth it. It's the base part expeditions, because they pay decent, right?
Yeah, I mean, that literally is mine now. It was supposed to finish off in 10 hours, which I did this at afternoon.
Yeah, sort of I just got 350 base parts an hour ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the kind of thing you fight the fight once and you forget about it, because I don't use my ironclads. at all.
No.
When I really want base parts, I launch my Cannoneers and I go hitting 99s on map and that kind of stuff, which is quick.
Mhm.
But with the build times today, like I had a refit on a turret and an upgrade on another turret, and both were going on for 5-6 days. So I went out, did the expedition with the Cannoneer at first, and then later I did with the Ironclad, and both did well. Both can do the base part expeditions, both for less than 20%, most likely close to 12-13% damage to the fleet only.
Mm-hmm.
And my Ironclads, they suck. Okay, they have no charged armor. It's a 4-ship fleet. They have Earth Shakers mixed with Mausers, mixed with Millennium Gun. I mean, they're Frankenstein, okay? They're horrible. And I drove them around, and half of the battle I let it autopilot. The other half I drove.
Yeah.
And I got 13% damage to the fleet.
Wow. That's good, isn't it?
And now I'm getting, just got, like I said, 350K base parts. And I'm not doing the chore at all because I can wait. And by the time my things are done, I'm going to have about 1 million base parts on my base just from the expedition this week. Totally worth it. The other two, they suck. The payout sucks.
I think. Well, and I mean, there's a couple of things I was just going to mention. Right. I mean, that is my screen there on the right hand side. So that is my Ironclad, and I've got the flagship of mine. I just happened to build Ironclads, because I was a filthy corner back then. So 606K. Bear in mind the ×2 current cycle multiply at 250% bonus. Because I don't know if that was in there initially. So 606 is what it's going to come back at. And for those individuals that are doing the one for titanium, then those individuals now, because there has been some adjustments to these already. The people that bought the Apollo 999 fleet, or that's what it was in the UK, it can achieve that expedition without dying on auto.
The Apollo.
Really?
Yes.
I tried it yesterday and it died.
Well, I've just seen 2 people post up on the page today saying that here's my fleet repair from autoing the one with their Apollos, the purchase fleet.
5
no
Apollos,
changes.
right? 5 Apollos with flagship, or just 5 Apollos without flagship?
The one that you purchased, which didn't have a flagship.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use. I mean, my Tide Seekers on auto got less damage than my Fangs with me driving. Figure that. Done the Ironclads on the. Yeah, I'm not Liam. Ironclads did fine on auto.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
Oh, we're losing you.
We're losing you, Robin.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. Oh, it's back again now. That's okay. That's weird. Toxic, what about you, mate? Have you had a go at any of these?
Toxic.
No, not really. No. I don't. If I really wanted to get some titanium and stuff, I'd just go and hit one. I'm not going to bother with this.
Oh, for titanium, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, I filled up on titanium today with my Skyfires, and it took me about 35 minutes, but I did it with one crew from 0 right the way through to full.
Like, I would be more interested if like, for example, you started a build of, a turret and it's like, 10 days left or whatnot. If that would trickle into that build, then yes, I would be saying, yeah, all right, I'll get that there, and maybe so much is going to take a day or 2 away. But you can't, once you start your build on those turrets and whatnot, you can't actually use more base parts to finish it off. So
that's the frustrating bit. Yeah.
If you could, that would be a great idea. Was that fleet could then just trickle into this build or the upgrade or the gun you put on, whatever, and it'd make some sense. But yeah, not that way.
Yeah, I got you.
What I would say is, for people who hasn't noticed, you can put your fleet in, let it run during the night, and when you get on in the morning, just take it off. It'll be fully repaired, and you can start hitting your base parts again. It's not timed so at the very end you get all of it at once. You get it over time. So if I go to expeditions here currently, this is sitting counting up. It doesn't just come in one go. Yes, you don't get the bonus unless you complete it, but you're still making base parts while you're away. So it can be viable. Just put it on the last thing you do in the night, and then run and just take it off whenever you come back.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah. I didn't actually. I thought you had to actually wait, the full allotted time before you could before you could reap any of the benefits.
No, if you recall earlier, you got a prorated amount, but the best of all is the fleet comes back repaired.
Yep.
I think it's just tricking people, isn't it? Because it's taking so long.
You're literally getting something for nothing. I mean, nothing in a way. I mean, you're fighting for 10 minutes there, but after that, it's something for nothing.
Yeah, just remember it's diminishing returns too. So it's if the first level gives you more of a bonus than the second level does, so keep your first level, and then if you need to cancel the second, so on and so forth.
Yep. The fastest I think I've seen is, I think it's only been my fleet I've seen do it under a day. So Ironclad as the tank, and then 4 Buccaneers fully ranked. You get it done in about 6.5 minutes. And
So
it's
anybody done the old trick, by the way, because it used to be able to put, like, obviously, I don't know if you can. Is it only PvE? Could you put the old, the reload one in for like radioactive protection and that sort of stuff, and have it sit in the corner and let them go off, and all the old sort of tricks we used to use? Has anybody tried any of that sort of stuff?
It's class.
It's very limited.
Class specific.
It's absolutely fixed to class specific, so you can't go and. Right, that's really annoying, because that would help a lot. I mean,
yeah, and that is one of the confusing things. And if we just touch on it for a minute, a lot of people are saying that Kix is choosing my fleet. If you've got Ironclads and Cannoneers and Buccaneers, let's say you've got those 3 fleets, they have to be fully repaired with no expired crew and no non-siege fleet inside the fleet, and they all have to be in a fleet slot. And so then you select the siege expedition, and all 3 of those fleets were visible. But if they're damaged, if they have an expired crew on them, then those will not be shown, and so you can't choose those.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, yeah, they're not choosing your fleet; they're choosing your type of fleet, as in which assault goes into assault and that stuff. And that's what I had. So yeah, I had Cannoneers, Ironclads, and Buckies. But obviously the Buckies only have 1 weapon on them, so I'm building in slow time. I'm not rushing this time, so yeah, I'll put up with it. I'll probably end up doing next raid with Cannoneers, so unlucky. Well, I've got 2 Buckies done, but that's about it. Yeah, Bow and Arrow, are you there, buddy? Are you any thoughts on this sort of stuff? Have you gone anywhere near it? Have you avoided it, or anybody in your alliance that's sort of like playing it?
When it first came out, we didn't have too much success. We got a lot of damage on. I tried the seed for the base parts with the Cannoneers. Didn't get didn't do very well. Tried it with the Ironclads, did better. It was just waiting around for it to collect it. And after I can do 103s for 0 damage with the Cannoneers, and then with being able to just get to them quite easy through the locator. I get them when I want them. Straight there. So,
yeah.
And same with the titanium, and I just do them all on auto anyway. My Skyfires just do 85s, and I haven't really bothered trying to do this after the first initial hit.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I mean, Robin and I were chatting about this earlier on. Yes, it's nice to have a trickle feed of stuff sitting in the background there, just ticking away. And if my Ironclads, as they are there, are doing their stuff, I can still go out with my Cannoneers. Oh, look, 2 fleets, and I can go and get the extra stuff. I mean, this thing is supposed to have a second slot, and it's a bloody expensive. You have to coin the goddamn slot. Probably a once-off, I think, but no one's actually done it yet. And there's a third, or something says coming soon, or a possible third slot. Well, if that's future intent, God knows what that one will cost, sort of stuff. But I hope they don't get rid of stuff out on the open seas, because whilst we're all saying yes, we want less jaws, this at the moment isn't providing the solution as I hope it was going to.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for it. When I first heard about it, I was really excited, and then when I first looked at it, I thought, okay, this isn't really going to help me very much, but maybe it'll help the lower levels. There's I think a disconnect in the time that people are using to do their chores and the time that they can get things done. And even for a lower level who's got 3 tide seekers, they can go out and auto 50 level 52s or 50s or whatever they are, 57s, uranium targets much quicker than they could get anything that they're getting in the uranium expedition. So I think the way that it's built, Kix has the opportunity to tweak the numbers. That it looks like they have the ability to up the percentage or the number on how much you can bring back, and maybe also tweak the timing. If it takes 2 days to go out and do something, if I've in between filled up and then, oh my gosh, 2 hours later after I fill up, my fleet comes back and it's finished its expedition, do I just lose everything that it got for the 2 days? So I think there's a lot of potential. I think they just need to step back, think about it, and say, okay, how can this help people? If I can fill up in an hour using my Phoenixes, does it really save me any time by taking 2 days to get 60k titanium? Not very much. And that is the same for even lower levels, I think.
So I will just say one thing, which is, whilst we all like things to be fixed in the game that are already broken, the fact that they've brought this in, I thought it'd be more broken than it is. The targets don't, they're new targets, and they don't seem too bad. Is that
the only one that's kind of broken is the titanium one? If you try and auto.
Okay, what does it do, mate?
Oh, you just get stuck in the special building.
Just look at his screen right now. He's under the shroud, and because he's shrouded, he doesn't take damage, but he also doesn't fire, and his ships just sit there.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So in that one, you were using Apollos?
Yeah, I was trying to auto with Apollos there.
I was just curious because I just scrapped mine like a week or so ago.
I deleted mine too.
Yeah, me too. I must admit. But then again, I've got other ships I can use. But I'd like to see somebody.
I just wanted to say something. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, it's okay, Matt. I just want to see somebody do it with the actual. I haven't seen a video yet of someone do it with that purchased 999 fleet. I really would like to see that.
Yep, this is that fleet that will not, in any instance, make it. I don't know how people have been making it, but yesterday and today they've just died. It's these ships here firing that missile will just rip your fleet apart.
Is that an old Guardian?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Fires a missile which is stupidly overpowered.
It's like a Guardian firing a Halo missile.
Oh, yeah, there's no way.
Lord.
Yeah, you've been hammered now.
It just hammers life. It hammers the life out of my Skyfire fleet as well. My Skyfires made it, but it was very damaging.
So it's got a new bypass missile, a bit like the 115 targets had when you take your icebreakers in. Because this week the icebreakers are having a hell of a time in the FM. Because the missiles are just going right past everything at the moment. I don't know why. But,
and somebody in chat, this suits me, actually brought up a good point. They got to work on these expeditions is the fact you cannot relocate if you have an expedition going on. You actually have to recall the fleets, interrupt your expeditions, then you can relocate.
And base hitting as well is messed up.
Yep. I hit a base last night. And I just did a prep. When I retreated and I hit the base again, I actually hit a fleet of Tide Seekers the guy had doing expeditions.
Yep.
Yeah. Although it says that you killed his expedition fleet, it doesn't actually kill it.
No, I killed it, and it shows fully dead on his HUD next time he logs in. But when he recalls the fleet, the expedition mechanic of fixing up the fleet still applies, so it comes back all repaired.
Yeah, but the other way around, he can damage your PvP fleet, and you do actually get the damage.
Yes.
Please note, do not recall your fleet immediately from the expedition because it still will come back damaged. Leave it for a minute or two and it'll be fixed, but don't recall it immediately because what I've seen is it will keep the damage if you recall it.
Yeah, it's got to have mined something. So as soon as you tick over a digit on that slash screen where it shows X of X, as soon as you've mined at least one, and then you recall, it'll come in repaired. But if you catch it with lag before it gets there, then yeah, it comes back dinged.
Yeah,
is it still sort of auto? Is it Venom?
See, rather than sorry, you go.
You're not going to make it. I think you have a single ball. Yeah, done.
Okay.
It's good to see. Hey, isn't it good to see the old MCX back in the water?
Yeah.
I have that nostalgic feeling about it.
It is.
There's a good old MCX kicking ass.
Okay, so there we go. There's some thoughts. There were some tips that came out. I think GDA produced them, and then obviously GDR. Obviously, I'm sorry, Rampage put them through and that sort of stuff. So, I don't know whether they do help or don't help. The ones that skirmish, the Marco Polo torpedoes don't actually do any damage to you. They're just there to be annoying, so ignore them, that sort of stuff. But I don't think I'd go in and do those targets anyway. So anyway, there's stuff there. Apart from base parts, I don't see any point in doing any of them, to be honest.
I think this would all have been more interesting if they made that the red part of the dub of the uranium bases, and then give you a choice. Do you want to leave your fleet here to collect overnight or whatnot?
Oh, you mean like mining used to be?
Well, sort of, yeah. But you know how we got sector orange and sector yellow, and we still can't hit the center of the dubs.
Oh, right, got you, yeah.
That could
And
have
I
been the
don't think
center
that's
of the
ever
dub.
going to happen. They're going to replace the whole thing, I think.
Yeah, but that would have been nice if you could hit the center of the dub, and then you get the choice. Do you want to keep your fleet here for like 24 hours, and it'll give you this, this, and this, or take it away and you get a little bit less? That would have been, because we're all hitting them anyway. It would have just been an extra step.
Possibly. I just noticed they're actually on Venom's, change the subject slide, on Venom's screen. His loading screen's taking a bit longer than normal as well, I've noticed, because I've seen him play quite a bit. Mine is also, and I've got a good connection. Has everybody else noticed that loading in general?
No, it's a simple reason. I mean, those battles take longer to load because the field is huge. There's a lot of elements.
I just mean across the game, to be honest.
It's not just that. It's across different computers. So I could put a different computer on, and even though it's a completely garbage computer, it'll still load faster.
How random.
So I've sat here trying to figure out what the issue is, and I have literally no idea.
It's affecting quite a lot of people. I know because a couple of people have written on the page today about it.
You know what I liked about the whole thing? I mean, forget about payout and not being perfect and everything, but it caught me off guard and was kind of like a cool surprise. The fact that they scrambled the factions and the target types completely, and like it was totally different than what I was expecting. Just like you see now, the siege target is Reaver. It looks like the assault target, but it's siege. The assault target's Draconian. Looks like the Draconian bases, but it's actually an assault target. It's all scrambled, and that threw me off there for a moment.
But it's a bit like what we do in our bases. It's like what we do in our bases, isn't it? You can change your faction, that sort of stuff, but actually the target still is target. So I quite like it. It does make you think, though, doesn't it? You're like, hang on a minute.
I had a little bit of a no shit moment there when I first saw the target. Like, oh, I have the wrong fleet.
Yeah, but then you go, I can't have the wrong fleet because I've been told I've got to use this fleet. Yeah, I did the same thing when I did my first one with the Ironclads.
I would just like to point out, if you do coin the second slot, it is the identical target.
Because you just coined it.
Yeah.
The payout changes because the different card, the payout changes. And they have this whole thing for expeditions with cards. I mean, when you go on the expedition screen, if you see you have 3 slots, only one's open. I mean, Venom just coined the second one right there, but now he has 2 cards open. And that's just if you ever want to send 2 fleets on that same class of expedition at once. Otherwise, you never need a second card. But you can also pay. You can also pay 10 coins. It's like the crew thing. You can pay 10 coins if you want to re-roll the card and get a different card. And what GDA said is over time they're going to be adding multiple cards, including some rare cards that will have much better payouts. Yada yada yada.
Okay, wait a minute. The middle, on something that you just said, with him coining that second slot, he can't just natively select that second slot and not send that fleet out on the first one?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
You can.
Okay.
You can select whatever one you want.
But you can now send 2 fleets at once. That's what I'm saying.
It looks
but
like
the payouts are different.
The payout for the second one's more. I think it's just to entice you to coin it.
It's random. It changes every hour, 2 hours, whatever. Or you can change immediately if you coin 10 coins, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So all those people that haven't spent 200 coins in the game have just seen him coin 200 in like 2 seconds.
You're welcome.
Because that's Venom. That's how he plays it. All right. Okay. Show off. Let's have a look at what's on the next screen.
But you know, I want to see whenever they start doing like they have with Cruise, like, oh, here's a legendary card, here's a rare card, and you know, this card pays actually like 300,000 titanium every day. I don't know if they'll ever do that, but even if they do, they gotta fix the basic cards because the titanium payout just sucks.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
pay attention. The next bit's really important. So back to some seasonal trivia. So I was scanning through the internet today, only because of yesterday we had some crackers on the table. I don't know if everybody has Christmas crackers on the table, and some of the jokes proper stunk. So I thought, I'll have a look online and see if I can find some really cracking cracker jokes. And here are some stinkers. So anyway, you can either join in or not join in, that sort of stuff. So what do we got first? Let's have a look. There we go. On which side do chickens have most feathers?
The outside.
Oh, you're boring, you are. Right, you're not allowed to answer. So chickens have most of their feathers. Why is it most of their feathers? I like to see the ones on the inside. Right.
You know, there's the twilight area around the ass that
There must
nobody
be,
knows
like-
if it's inside or outside.
That's where they pull. No, stop it. Anyway, moving on. Oh dear. And there you go. Why would you invite a mushroom to a Christmas party? If you get this one, then you're a bit of a weird person. No, okay. There we go. Because he's a fungi guy. Fungi? Mushroom? Fungi? No, not get it. Get it.
Oh, okay.
Fungi? Yeah. Fungi? Yeah, fungus. Anyway, there we go. Mushrooms are fungus, fungi. Right,
No,
there
it's
you
not
go.
that you didn't understand, Mark. It's just awful.
It sucks.
Different fungus to tinea, though, isn't it?
It's a different thing. It's all right. They get worse. Don't worry about it. That's even Ford's amusing himself. Freaking redneck, right? Laughing. He's laughing in chat.
Hey,
Right.
nothing wrong with rednecks now.
Hey. I knew you'd pipe up, mate. So, go on, Roo. What do you reckon this one is?
I'm not
A
touching
goalie?
that. I am not touching that.
Is that a goalie?
It's so shit.
A net.
Oh my god.
Shit.
Oh my god.
I was crying typing that one out. I was like, how ridiculous is that? Oh dear. Oh, this is terrible. So why was Santa's little helper feeling depressed? Because he had low self-esteem. Oh dear.
Okay, you're fired from next year's funny show.
Oh, this one kills me. I've got a simple mind, sorry. So what did the fish say when he swam into the wall? Damn! There is one more, which guys on here probably won't be able to see, but you definitely will when you're watching it. Okay. What's the longest word in the English language? Bit of trivia for you. Any ideas? Anybody?
No.
Oh, I can't remember the name for it. It's something elastic.
No.
No?
Nope. It's smile. Because there's mile between
Oh,
the first and
Jimmy,
last
isn't
letters.
Jesus.
So, shall
Moving on.
moving on. Bounty. There we go. Look, oh, that's a busy screen. Didn't look at that busy one.
Chewy.
Just before we move on.
Yeah, go on. Just for
letting the Buccaneers do their own work rather than have a tank. You do about double the damage on yourself.
Drive
So,
better.
Well, that's why I have the ironclad tank in there.
Yeah, drive better, bitch.
The Buccaneers have less. They take more damage than the flagship ironclad, yet they have more defense. So
In that type of target, yeah. Yeah.
it's
And we all know that they'll adjust the raid target so the Buccaneers can do it, but they'll probably block out. Obviously, it'll be tier X only, and you won't be able to put your ironclads in there anyway. So, you know, they'll play it and move it around so it fits their requirements.
Is your Buccaneers fully built there, Venom?
What do you reckon?
not with charged armor, but yeah.
Nice.
Ka-ching.
Big coiner.
Okay.
Filthy vermin, you.
And I should say, he's seen the target, so he knew exactly what the best build is.
Have I?
Yes, Venom, you have.
Okay.
Anyway, right, okay. So let's talk about Bounty 5.0. Okay, so base hitting. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So that's what I want to talk about is with the current situation in the yeah. Now Venom will get all the PMs. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Venom has seen the new targets, by the way, everybody. There you go.
Yeah,
PM
he knows
Venom,
the best build. He knows.
He'll tell you all
has-
about it.
PM
He's
Venom for a
tested
build.
it.
Yeah. Venom, he's got nothing to do over Christmas, so just everybody PM him.
Yeah, if you need a really good Buccaneer build, just PM Venom.
Yeah, personally to his personal account. Okay.
I gave Robin the Buccaneer build.
No, I never received it, mate. She's got you blocked.
And I know that's false because Robin has no friends.
Exactly.
No friends, no PMs.
Oh dear. Yeah, you can't get a PM without a friend. Right. Base hitting. So Venom is a good chance for you to have a bit of a chat here as well as some of the other guys as well. Base hitting. What we're going to be doing now that obviously it's a bit difficult to get into people's bases. So how's Bounty 5.0 going to come off? What's going to be coming up about the nexuses? Tell me about the PvE targets. Are we going to be solely reliant on them then? Because base hitting is a bit of a bummer at the moment. And what are the prizes going to be? Well, we sort of got a bit of an idea, I think. There's this Boulder Fist thing, which sounds pretty obtuse to me, but there's it looks like there's a punch drive system special that we haven't quite got yet, which is definitely Conqueror and Defender class, and then there's this Crusher cannon as well, which is kicking out ballistic damage. So
There's another weapon as well.
is it?
Yep. If you go to say a Tiger Shark, I think it is.
Conqueror class?
No. If you go to the Tiger Shark and go to Limited, there is a Cobra Scattergun too.
Interesting.
It's
Number
awful.
2?
It's awful.
That's the limited. Is that the standard limited
pure
one? Though?
gobber. Nope. There it is.
Oh, it's the second one. Yeah, it's a level 2 one. Yeah,
It's level 2 with like 200 more damage.
but it builds up with dot, doesn't it? So go for what's the special abilities at the bottom? 2/4/6, and what's the other one? The same. So the specials is the same.
It's pure
That's-
garbage.
That's not worth having, is it? Multi-shot's 5, and the other one is multi-shot is still 5. How intriguing. Yeah,
And you
that sucks.
notice the tiers 4.5 and 4.75 of each.
Yeah, that's hardly an escalation, is it? Okay, so what do we think about Bounty 5? Because it should be this coming weekend. Am I not wrong?
I apologize to all the farm and low-level players.
That's
for
what it's going to be.
What is about to come your way is nothing short of painful and deeply upsetting for anyone to have to go through.
Yeah, because there'll trigger points again every 6 hours, won't there, and that sort of stuff, and then every time we go past the 24-hour window again, everybody that's got anything at all is going to get smashed. But don't be just
I think it's worth taking a second to point out why, because there may be some people who would have normally done bounty in the past that may want to miss this one.
I haven't done it since the first one.
You don't get enough points for defending your base, and for the high-level players, there's not much point in even bothering hitting high-level players because you're not going to get in. The closest anyone's gotten to my base was 50% because they changed the range in the hope. And that
yes, I
is
had to
fixed.
readjust mine just the other day. Yeah.
So you're there's just no point in the high-level players fighting each other. It's just going to be a farm frenzy for the low levels, unfortunately.
Yeah, but don't be disgruntled though, because I have to say my alt, everyone knows I've got an alt account and that sort of stuff. I did manage to get a really good prize, the bus, and I didn't hit a single base. And all I did was went through every 6 hours collecting the bits, and I got hit all the time in it. And I just went click repair, let it do its own thing. Obviously, click repair at the right time, and I got past the 10K mark without doing any work whatsoever. So you can still get prizes. Clearly, you've got to work to get the top prizes, but you can still get stuff. So don't be disgruntled. Even the lowest person that's above level 50 can still get stuff.
Yep,
10K's a lot.
Yeah, it just irritates the piss out of me because I have my son on weekends and I'm not doing a second raid of the month. I'm not doing it.
No, I didn't do anything on that one, mate. It was just literally at the right time. I went on my phone. I just went log in, done, thank you, and logged off. It took like 2 seconds. I didn't do anything else. And at the end of it, I even said to Robin, I think it ended up being like 13 or 14, wasn't it, Robin? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was quite. I was absolutely shocked how much I could get. How many points?
Well, I would say to any lower level players, just don't give up. Don't give in.
Yeah.
It's not your fault that you're being hit by players who are much bigger than you. It's been forced upon the bigger players. There is ways to get around it. The secure points are only 2,000. You can, if they've still got the 1,000 from defending your base.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, good question.
If that's still there, you can get your secure points reasonably. Just don't give in.
You should easily be able to get at very least 1 checkpoint a day without any effort. I mean, if you time your login right, you log in at a time where you get the first drop, and it's about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes for the next drop, right? And then you ask somebody to just touch your base a few times, and you get those points for defense. I mean, they just need to do a bit of damage, I think, or take some damage, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that should, like, within 10, 15 minutes, you should be able to get the 2,000. You need to secure that, and then just go play your game normally, right?
Just
for
go
the next
do
2
things,
hours, and make sure just to log off before you get the next drop, because you don't want to leave all that much exposed, because that makes you a target, right?
Yeah, just make sure. Hey, Heffy, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. And yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. How was Christmas, buddy?
You know, another Christmas.
At the age where, like, it's just another day. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. It's another Christmas. Had to make a big dinner, but yeah. I actually mostly got on because I don't know if it's, I know Ford's having the problem, but it's not your guys' fault, but YouTube is, I checked my speed. I just got frustrated trying to listen on YouTube personally.
Is it cutting
There's
in
a
and out
lot
again,
of,
is it?
Yeah, it was cutting in and out on me, so I just eventually just joined. And it's not, I know it's not your guys' fault. It's just, and it's not everybody. It's, sometimes regions have issues with YouTube, and it was not good for me today.
Oh, right. Okay, mate. All right. That's a shame. What are your, since you're on, mate, what's the Bounty 5? Not really in a good position, are we? I don't think.
Now, can I ask a quick question of all you guys?
Yeah, go on, Toxic. Sorry, mate.
In your opinion, that's for everyone here on the panel and people listening, has Bounty done what it was meant to do and get base hitting back into the game? Has Bounty done that?
That depends who you're asking, mate. It's all about level and ability and spend.
I don't mean in Bounty. I mean like in the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, mate. You'll get a different opinion from whom you are. I mean, for Mr. Level 55, who still hasn't ever participated in a raid yet, who's still doing his FM and has never touched Bounty and probably won't.
I think the question mark. Sorry, it's more about, do we think Bounty has succeeded to drive up levels of PvP? And I think the answer is no. It's about the same.
No, I think only the top end players are doing it, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. I was just, I was wondering when it hasn't. I did the first Bounty and it, it was all right.
Yeah.
But I haven't done any other Bounty since, and I haven't done any base hitting since, because it's just gone stupid. It gets gone from all the way to the left to all the way to the right to all the way to the left to all the way to the right.
Yeah, that's the seesaw thing I was saying. Not, it's, rather than that sort of like, that nice yin yang where things overlap in the middle. Particularly, we haven't had that at all. It's Venom just managed to stab himself with a knife. Well done, mate. Shouldn't laugh, I suppose, but hey, he's still typing. So
I've been debating a few things, and like, I don't know if I do, I don't know if I don't, but people getting, some people got the hope or that Omni from last raid, and actually some people could turn this Eviscerator into a fairly decent base guard. I'm just saying, for people who lack a guard and want to put something in there, I think, what's the name of that one? The Inquisitor with Sinful Scatterguns, or the Eviscerator, they all make decent guards, and they will at least put a good dent on the attacker. You know, like they won't just waltz through your base if you have those ships in defense.
At this point, there's a multitude of fleets that will be able to kill almost anything. But I would say if anyone's able to work their way up to get a Hope in the next raid, or if they've just got a Hope, you can build it to make it very, very strong. Just put ships around it that will sort of boost it and give it a little bit of help, and you'll kill anything.
Yeah.
And with this new gun that just came out, it'll bring quite a few cannon ships back as well.
Should
so
do.
Those that do work decently with cannons should do well.
Yeah, the Harlock Alpha Bemoth in defense is going to benefit from having that cannon fitted to it, without a doubt. But yeah, I find Bounty a placator. I think for the high levels, it gives them something to do. For the big alliances, now they've included obviously the big megas with the golden nexus and that sort of stuff, it also gives them a bit of fun and PvP. And I know they've had some great fun, you know. But I think in the game, I still don't think it's there yet. And we're going to be on version 5. Let's see what they do to the nexuses and obviously mega ships, and let's see how. I mean, we heard the other day that the PvE side of it is not going to go away because we know it's drastically needed. You know, I think the drop times this last Bounty 4 was much better. It seemed to be, you know, globally. Maybe not actually because Toxic's on now. Maybe not for the guys down in the southern half, southern hemisphere. You know, particularly the other side of the globe there. But in general terms, for the States, it was reasonable from what I looked at our timings when Robin and I looked at them. But I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued. I think Bounty 5 has the potential to be a bigger flop as Bounty 3 and not as good as Bounty 4. Don't know.
Yep. I completely agree. We've had decent bounties, and then we had one where we couldn't get in bases. This is the exact same. The top level players are just not going to be hitting each other.
No, it's very hard to get in a good base right now. So not to say impossible, but very, very hard.
So Bounty every month could be a flop because we're doing the yin yang seesaw of base PV, you know, defending versus attacking, and we're in the seesaw moment again of every other month, and we're into the bases are strong, the attacking fleets are rubbish. You know, and we're back into the, you know, so our Bounty even number is going to be good for the attacker, and then Bounty odd number is going to be good for the defender. I don't know.
I would say that the mid-level players will have a better time this time because they have the ability to both defend and attack.
That's a fair point. Yeah, actually, I think you're right. Yeah,
it's the balance in the middle seems to have gotten a little bit better. It's just at the extreme high and extreme low, it's really, really off.
I'm probably going to disagree with you there, Venom, because I mean, you're right. It's better. They probably have better tools to attack and defend right now, but will they find bases to attack, or will the big players have already farmed them all? But, you know, and then if they find a few bases to attack, the mid levels, I mean, they're going to hit 1, 2, 3, and all of a sudden now they pop up on everyone's radar to be hit, and they're going to lose what they earned before they can back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still an issue, but I think for the mid-level players, they have the chance. They have the chance, I should say, that they can.
Yeah, I still think for Bounty to succeed, KingsEye has to rework the bracketing level for base hitting overall.
The only issue I see with that is because of this yin-yang sort of thing. If you put the big players in one bracket, nothing will happen.
That's the thing.
But then you address one problem that's real, and if another problem pops up, that becomes another problem to be addressed. But the fact you have to address that problem because, you know, I still see a lot of bases between level 50 and 80 just abandoned, that people don't fix them anymore because they gave up.
Can I just ask one thing? For those, sorry, Robin, just for one thing. Do you feel, and Robin, this is pretty pertinent to you, do you think Bounty is more time consuming than raiding? If you want to do well.
Yes, I think anyway.
Well, if you're raiding and you've got the top fleet, you could spend 2 or 3 hours and grind it and be done if you're doing the top targets. If you're doing bounty and you're not able, if you don't have a good fleet and you're not able to hit bases and you have to grind the map targets, then it's worse than a raid. And then if you miss the bonus targets, then it's even worse, or you're fighting off people like David, who's hogging all of the bonus targets. So I could see that it takes a lot longer to do. You have to pay attention. You have to strategize more than you do with the raid. Raid, I got an hour, I'll throw on a crew, go do something. Now you got to kind of put yourself around the 6 hours, especially if you're a lower level or mid level. So it can be more time consuming. I'm not sure making it a longer time between grants would help anything, but yeah, I can see it be. I mean, I know people that were staying up in the first two
In addition to that, the times for the 99s don't come out at a set time, so you're having to come on.
You're clock watching.
Well,
yeah,
you're clock watching, and then I said this the first time, and I really wish they would implement this, because they did this with one of the raids or one of the things. They had a message that went in game, because I mean, let's be honest. What happens when the bounty bases come out? You PM all of your friends. Quick, bounties are out. Nobody else knows about it. So unless you happen to be on and see one, if you don't have any friends and you're not getting any PMs, then you don't know that they're out, and so you miss out completely. And so I don't see why they can't, when they come out, post the message so that everybody has an opportunity to go out and hit them.
Yeah, I must admit, at the end of a bounty weekend, and forget the text or raid, because that's a different beast altogether. You're escalating up to the 500 million, 600 million points because you want everything, because that's the greed of human nature. But in the standard raid, you can be done pretty reasonably well if you've got the latest tech. But in bounty, even if you've got the latest tech, you are pushing some flipping hours, and you are missing some Zeds without a doubt. Not as bad this time, but it's a commitment and a half.
But this I think is going to be the bounty that makes or breaks it, and that's only because, like Venom said earlier, sorry to all the little guys. He's good. That the big guys are going to come and take their stuff away, and the big guys obviously aren't going to hit each other because they can't get in. So if there's no little guys, or if there's not enough little guys in there to keep the big guys happy, then
okay, pause that thought a bit before you just say any more. Pause that there, and we'll continue in a minute, Toxic, because that takes me on nicely, because I have planned this.
Hang on 1 second. If I could
we're
just say
we're still talking bounty.
Yeah.
But my concern is, okay, we've had the auto hull in the previous raid, the For the Wall, great, okay, Buccaneers. We've had this TLC, this just happened. This is all coming together as a package now, because I did think about these slides today. We've just seen what's happened in that TLC, so you can't, because you've got the hunters only. So now you're scared shitless. Now you've got to go and get both of these fleets. There's a TLC coming up, the Hydra, and it's also bounty. What the hell are you going to do? Are you going to kill off the little guy's base all the time, so he can't go and use his dock for the small amount of hours he's got, and he can't even launch anything, and he can't go and do his TLC? Some of them don't coin that sort of stuff. He knows he's got to get both fleets, or at least try for one fleet. He'd rather have the skill hole because he doesn't want to coin, and he wants to be able to drive it technically. But he's not going to, because everyone keeps smashing his base every time he goes out. They're busting their own freaking game.
To the TLC, from what we've heard so far, I mean, it's from a mod not confirmed by Kix yet, but from what we've heard so far on the TLC, it's supposed to run from like the 29th through until the 10th. So it's not supposed to be on the only time that the bounty is on. So a little bit longer, and I hope that is the case, because if it is running when bounty's on, they need to extend it, because there are people that are going to spend their bounty in a bubble. With respects to the bubble, there's ways that you can help lower players out. If you're worth more than somebody that then certainly you can give them a bubble. The other thing that I'm interested in seeing, we've all talked about breaking bounty and everything. We had the new mechanic last time with the mega hulls and the nexus. I'm interested to see if they've actually made any changes based on the feedback that we've given.
Yeah. I don't know, and yeah, we basically said, you know, let's not have mega alliances holding all. I mean, it's nice for the mega alliances and that sort of stuff, and even in fact, Toxic will say, sorry, not Venom will say that holding 3 nexuses actually is, even for a massive alliance, is costly. You know, it's not a cheap thing to do.
A lot of people with a lot of fleets.
Yeah.
Kicks out, mate.
Yeah.
I doubt they'll have changed it, because for a big alliance to split their for a big alliance to split their mega ships up and have fleets at every single one of their megas.
But apart from having a mega ship, let's be honest, mate, your lower levels, apart from having a mega ship and having that mega ship surrounded by an awful lot of other big mega ships, they didn't do nothing in bounty, and yet they got a phenomenal amount of points.
Yep, but it comes down to the fact that because you've got 3, say you've got 3 nexus, you're having to have more fleets at different locations. It costs more money.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that. Absolutely get it, mate. I do understand it. You know, I just think there needs to be some other way that other people would be able to get to nexus, and it's just not going to happen. Just by the very way that the game is set out, that by, you know, the haves, you know, beat the have-nots, and in this instance, the high-level alliances will always outstrip the middle-level alliances, and the alliances that could be very high-level alliances, but just not have enough players of a high level.
What they need.
What about the folks that are not in an alliance who have a mega?
They're screwed.
They need more nexuses. 5 for a full world is just not enough. Not at all.
But then you got to entice people to go and get them, and whether you put 5 or 20, you know, the single man with a great, and there are a couple of really high level megas I've seen around the world I'm in, but the person's not in an alliance. He just likes to go around making a mess, you know, with his mega ship. Nobody else can join his battle, so he's got a really high mega ship sort of stuff, you know.
Well, that's just one of the bonuses of having an alliance. You know,
but you look at it this way: if you're a player that can't defend your base to a bounty style or bounty type level, then I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, I've been once before, you won't have a mega ship that's any good.
No, that's not necessarily true. There are a lot of players that have very big megas that are not part of an alliance.
Yep, and they just go around hitting big alliance megas just because it's funny.
I don't mean not having an alliance. I mean you don't have a base strong enough to defend, you know, to work within the bounty.
Oh, I've seen people with 300 level megas that have just garbage bases. And
Okay, fair enough.
All they've done is they've made their mega when it came out, and they've kept it sort of up to date. But they've just given up on their base.
Okay, look, we'll move on.
Be interesting to see how this one shakes down, not only because of the mega changes, but also because of the fact that we're now in this situation where we've got both defense and offense kind of juggling with each other, and all of the new stuff that came out just recently with base defense.
Oh, sorry.
Mention it. Right. Let's move on to that slide that we're looking at. So siege rate is coming. Okay, we already know then. What can we tell about siege rate? Yeah, it's going to be the 4-month cycle. Yes, it's going to have a new set of targets. Nothing like we've seen before. But I will tell you that the so PMing personally, there are 2. Siege is quite good fun in some respects and very annoying in other respects. So we already know then the auto hull obviously is the Bucky and that sort of stuff, you know, and you should be able to, I'm hoping, you know, we are canvassing as TLC, we're actually asking for a single target that can be done with both hulls. It's just that the auto hull would take a bit more damage, and that's how it used to sort of happen when it first came out. We'll see what happens. But if that's not the case, what we don't want is to have what we've just had before, and that's here's 2 targets, and if you do them all and coin everything, then you get a small bonus, which is nice to do, but it puts you in a real shitty position on TLCs, which is what we've just had. So I don't know. Who's just popped in? Rum has. Hello, Rum.
Hello, TSC.
Okay.
Yeah. How's your Christmas, mate? You all right?
Yeah, it's excellent. Thank you very much. Had a good time with the family.
Super, mate. You missed the Christmas cracker jokes, mate. You have to watch it back.
Christmas cracker. Does that involve cowboy?
It was nothing to do with Battle Pirates, but probably more interesting. Anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, so like I said, Siege Raid 4 months. We don't know what the targets are, but we know they're new fleets. We know that obviously the Buccaneers, the cannon one, and obviously the what's the name of it? I've forgotten it off the top of my head.
Hydra.
In the Hydra TLC, yeah, sorry. That's going to obviously be radioactive. There's a new radioactive cannon and a special that goes with it.
A question that I have is, are they intentionally delaying the previews of the targets?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's Christmas and they've gone on holiday.
Screw that. They knew this was coming. They had all year to get ready for it. It's the same day every year.
It is, mate. But if you honestly think they had all year to get ready for it, they probably didn't even contemplate this 4 months back. So I'm hoping we get a public preview this time, seeing as it's a 4-monther. It'd be really, really nice, even if it's just Kickside jumping on their own game, doing their own demonstration of what's like to come.
Yeah,
At least do that, you know. And if not, make it. Let's go back to having a public preview. You know, targets will be something like this. Even or just, don't know.
But I think what Ron was referring to is previously we had gotten a peek at, not a preview, but we got a general mechanic of the upcoming raid cycle with the VXP targets. And
yeah, very much so. This is the first. It hasn't happened this time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's Christmas isn't really an excuse.
No, it's not. And the way that I feel about it, and you know, I'm going to go on a little bit of an anti-rant here real quick, anti-Kickside rant.
Oh, not at Christmas, mate. Come on.
No, they don't deserve a break. They don't give us a break.
No, I like a break. But I know what you're saying. No, they should have had, I think for the VXP weekend, it would be very nice to see an example of the target, an example of the turrets. And, you know, because Siege is a building hitting, you know, there's no ships should move. There may be a hull sitting there, but it shouldn't do anything to you. It shouldn't even fire, to be honest. But it should be all about turrets taking you out with buildings in the way. So you're having to hit the buildings first before you hit the turrets sort of stuff. That's what Siege should be.
That's all fine and good. But they should have had it ready for us to have a look at, because what they've done by shrinking it down is they've forced more coining. Absolutely. Because nobody can be ready for the target with this limited amount of time.
We don't know that they're not going to give some sort of preview here in the next week or so. I mean, the raid, we're looking at like the 11th for the raid.
Yep.
How are your builds coming along, Robin?
Mine are coming along just fine.
Are you ready?
No chance. I'll have 3 ships.
I don't think anybody's ready. What I'm saying though is that yes, we normally get them from a VXP target, which just finished yesterday on Christmas morning. I mean, there's still time for them to give some type of preview. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know.
What I think the problem that Rum's highlighting here is we usually have a long time. We have a month to plan our build. So we've got the VXP weekend, less than a month. But
I've never had a month to build a fleet.
Right, you have VXP, you see the target. We don't have VXP, we can't see the target. It's now being pushed back. So if we do get a target to see, it's further, it's closer to the next raid. So you're having less time to make your initial change.
But let's be honest, though. I mean, we're talking a siege target. We know that we're going to have ballistic, and then we know that we're going to have radioactive. You know, we know what guns we're going to put on it, and we know for the most part what specials. I mean, we know we need an engine. You know, you need something to boost ballast range. I mean, I understand, and I would like to have a preview target. But
excuse me for just 1 second, Robin. We have the beginnings of the hulls for what we need. We have a man special that nobody knows whether it's going to work or it's not work. We're not getting any communication. We have no idea whether to put that on our boats or not. So you got to leave that spot open so you can determine whether it's going to be good or not. And that shouldn't happen.
My thought is that based on the torpedo tubes and the fact that it came out at the same time, I mean, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm based on the torpedo tubes.
I'm going with the Pac-Man. Okay, the pack and the special. I'm going with the hull, the Bucky, and that sort of stuff. I'm going with a range increaser for my cannons, that sort of stuff. I'm going with speed system, the highest one there is. I'm going with some turret defense, which also includes some extra, obviously, building damage, and I'm adding another special to it. There's very little I need to know now. I've got clearly
that's all
two.
fine and good. You build these boats, and then all of a sudden this doesn't perform the way we want to a week before the raid, and you're stuck with an automatic refit with no guarantee that there's going to be tokens to fix it.
Well, not only that, but they brought up about the torpedo tubes, and the torpedo tubes weren't ranked like 8 out of 9 things like this thing is, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, Daniel. How you doing?
Hi, everyone. And there's some things that we've learned through previous things. Like, there's some other ones. It's not as simple as some people. I understand what Rum's getting at, because right now, we can make assumptions. Do we need evade? We don't know at this point.
Well,
How
evade
important generally doesn't work, but they make changes. That's what I'm saying. And then we don't know, like in the assault raid, do we need countermeasures? We don't know if we need countermeasures. In theory, we don't, but we didn't think we needed, mortar countermeasures in the assault raid.
First and foremost, this is a game, and I appreciate that it's a game, but it is a war game, and I don't know of anybody that's ever gone to war without knowing what the hell they're going to war with and for.
Well, all I can say is there's 4 hulls. I'm not defending Kickside, but you've got a series of cannons, you've got a special, you've got the engine already, you've got turret defense, and you've got building damage stuff already. And it's not the first time we're ever going to attack against siege targets. So whatever, but I can get 3/4 of each ship, and I haven't finished my builds, and I won't even be able to by the time it's done because I'm building them in slow time. But I can get 3/4 of my ships built before the raid starts.
If we had a little more information, we could be better prepared.
The issue,
because with that new special, you have to consider leaving 2 special slots open. You know what I'm saying?
Potentially.
The giant problem we have is that the targets are so finely tuned that even if you're off by 1 special, it makes a massive difference. A massive difference to the damage you take.
If it makes that much a difference to the coiners, like most of us are, what the hell's it going to do to the poor mid-level guys that don't coin?
Well, they'll make sure that they're like the torpedo tubes. They'll make sure the new special works.
Wow. Do you have that much faith in them, Mark? I know you. Do you have that much faith in them?
Well, they
did we not go through this last raid where the ACP looked better than the torpedo tubes, and Kick said no, the torpedo tubes is made for this raid, and
Robin, they haven't done that yet. They haven't come out and said, you guys trust us.
I'm not saying that they haven't, but what I'm saying is that there's still time to potentially see a target.
Yeah, there's time potentially to waste time and not build something.
Can I just make one point?
Well, I'll tell you what then. Okay, I'll just say, look, in the last since actually Phoenixes have come out, every ship that's come out with the weapons that's been fitted onto it, that's been issued, has worked. And they've worked well.
I'd just like to point out that this special really doesn't change very much. It is just damage output, and to be perfectly honest, the second build that you can make decent, which I've built to, it's really not that far off.
There's not a huge amount.
Sorry.
I'd be more concerned if it had defensive specials on it, but it doesn't. It's just damage output, and you can change the damage output to DPS rather than straight up damage.
Yeah, and I'd rather have, knowing the way that Siege works in general, the more you can clout in a massive great boom in one hit, the better you generally are, because they fire back splash at you, and you know that.
Don't overlook crit hits either.
Yeah, don't.
So I see, Venom, you got autoloader 2 instead of the number 4, huh?
Wait,
that's what I figured. Because I see it has the old pack cannon too.
4 weighs less, actually. 3 is the one that weighs a lot.
Yeah, it does. Oh, and while we're on Huggies, I like his snow. It's good. I keep forgetting it's on there every year. Ho, 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 all that sort of stuff. Hang on a minute. So, Bow and Arrow, what were you going to say, mate?
I was just going to say that, well, I've noticed in Kick-Size, when they build the, sort of the generic hulls, they work reasonably well. There's only a few minor tweaks, maybe there's a countermeasure here or a special there. So the generic build, like all weapons and more, pretty much, siege battery and an engine, and it's just the odd tweaks here and there and then you wouldn't need to do.
I think the main concern comes from what happened with the icebreaker. I think that's where most of the concerns are coming from. The past couple of raids has been fine, but there is still that fear of we're going to have another icebreaker incident. It's still possible.
Well, there's
Well,
always
that's still possible.
Yeah.
That's still possible even if we see the VXP targets, because even though we have seen the VXP targets, very rarely is the raid target an exact replica of that anyway.
No, but the general function is. And number two, are we going to have pop-up turrets in this raid to slow down and create more lag again?
already said
no,
no
he's already said no. He already said no last week, but there's no more pop-up turrets.
Thank them.
Yeah. And what Venom brought up as far as the icebreaker, is the cannoneer going to work? And that's the other thing that we don't know by not seeing these targets. Should we be fine-tuning our cannoneers?
So no. I mean, well, I don't know if you're going to put the new weapon on your cannoneers and that sort of stuff. Bear in mind that the new weapon for the skill hull is actually it's a launcher and it's not a pack cannon. And if you want to put the pack cannon on your cannoneers, it's very, very heavy, so you won't be able to get very many on. But they've already said that you will not be able to do the top level targets with either hull, i.e. the old ones. You might get to, and I think they're going to miss a tier out. Is that right, Robin? If I remember rightly.
No. But that was the confusing point. The expectation is that cannoneers and ironclads will be able to do 6 and below, and that the newer hulls will do higher. So do not expect to be able to take a cannoneer into the A set or an S set.
Right, that was it. Yeah.
Another point is, how is the skill hull supposed to be so much sort of easier?
I think range is a thing, mate. I think it's range.
The range, I've got the range up on my screen there. It's basically 100 to 98.
Yeah, but that's a huge difference. Trigger difference. You think the difference going back to the old skirmisher ones? That was a huge difference. Just 2 can make a hell of a difference if you're kiting.
At the speeds these ships go, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt
that.
But it still comes in.
One of the
if you go back to how turret platforms work, the range that it autos to is not the same range it starts firing at.
No, exactly. No, I know that, mate.
So again, it could be possible with that shorter distance between the two, you could
kite with the auto hull. Yeah,
auto hull.
Yeah, and I plan to kite with the auto hull. That's what I plan on doing. That's why I built it. And I'll go very, very slow on building the skill hull, and if I ever get to build them. But we have got 4 months. But I am planning on using the Buckies as a kiting fleet and not an auto fleet.
But
go on.
I want to say that I wanted to add about the whole icebreaker incident was it was the fact that we got that first, and then on the first raid type we didn't get an S target, so we had to do the A target, the A set, and the A set is generally not tuned for the auto hull. Correct. So everybody was saying, "Oh, it sucked," and then all of a sudden they came out with an S set, and that the icebreakers were able to do that, and it became a great hull again. Just
I got a funny feeling they'll want to. Well, I know they have because I've spoken to GDL that they want to make sure the very first one comes out perfect, and that's a lot to live up to. But the word "perfect" is something you could not apply anywhere in. You could not apply it in 2017 across any of the.
The word "perfect" I agree with is very hard to attain, but they need to be better than what they were by 1,000%. They kept sending us junk that didn't work. We had to wait on nerfs. We had to wait on buffs. We had to wait on them to fix it. And it goes back to the same thing I said over a year ago when Robin and I first got into our little talk about this, is if we allow them to ship us half-ass products, we will continue to get half-ass products.
He said that he wanted to make this one perfect, so did they not want to make the previous ones perfect?
Yeah, he wasn't involved, was he?
Well, that doesn't make any difference. There's still guys ahead of him in charge that should have that as a goal.
Yep.
Should, yes, I totally agree with you. But ultimately, you can only be the destiny of your own sort of like if you're not in the spill, then what can you do? What can you do if you're not in the mix and you're not involved in doing something? You can't quote and adapt and adjust and make things better if you have no input in it whatsoever. So he's coming back into the game in the new year. He's lead, and let's see where it goes. You know, well, the one thing he did build in 2017 was a Skyfire.
Who you talking about, Raken?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I've absolutely got a lot of faith in Raken for the most part. I know we had some ups and downs with him, but based off what he did with the Skyfire, I trust what he says more than I do anybody else that's been there that I'm aware of.
He built that, and he got involved in the rage as well. Slightly overkill, but it worked.
Well, the fact that it worked is the biggest part.
So let's, you know, I'm not saying hell, community, let's all trust them, that sort of stuff, because so far this hasn't been very clever, has it? But what has happened in the last 3 raids, so that's 9 months, is every hull has come out the door for the last 9 months, and it's done its job in the last 3 raid cycles.
Really? Okay.
In general, not perfect because there's always escalation and that sort of stuff.
How many times did they fix the monolith?
The monolith is, I don't even count the monolith because I use icebreakers. But as far as
the
I'm
icebreakers
concerned,
weren't any better.
Well, I quite liked mine, I must admit.
How many times have they fixed the Buccaneer already? That's another point. That Buccaneer went from 71 speed down to 61, and then back to 71. When it was 71 the first time, it was taking huge damage in the expedition target. When it went down to 60, when it was taking tiny damage, and went back up to 71, it's now 15% damage. So they're tweaking both it and the targets without telling anyone.
Well, there were. I know there were some changes.
Expedition's new, isn't it?
Well, there were some changes that were applied to a couple of the hulls in there that actually got caught up in, because the original Conqueror hull repair times were listed incorrectly, and I know they made a couple of hotfixes for those.
Yeah, it's just
I can understand copy and paste stuff. Go ahead, Ben.
It's
okay,
changes without
right,
telling us.
Gents, we're going to pause there. That's enough for that. Right, we're going to move on. There we go. Okay. So already, Siege Raid is a motive. Let's just call it that. All right? Ho, ho, ho. Right. What do we got next? Oh, Robin.
Did mine make it?
Okay. So most of you know, I can't see the slides there. Can you make yourself presenter? There we go. Most of you know we ran our banner competition just recently, where we made the decision to go ahead and let the players come up with the design for our new banner. And of course, this is the banner for the TFC website as well as the Facebook page. And so we had a few entries. And Mark, I'm sorry, can you make yourself presenter, because I'm not seeing you?
Is that better?
There we go. Yep, thank you. So we made the decision where we would go ahead and allow folks to submit their designs, and then the TFC admin team was going to go ahead and pick the top 3. And this was so that we didn't end up with bacon on our banner page. But so we got a lot of entries, and there were 3 that we came up with that we thought kind of showed what the TFC's mission statement was, Battle Pirates related, and kind of gave a good feel for what we were looking for. And so we put the 3 out there for vote. And so if you want to move on to the next one, we'll go ahead and share the ones that won.
So basically, you'll just confirm the fact that if it's on this splash screen now, I've played with my graphics today and as my PowerPoint updated, then you didn't make the final cut.
Okay, so in 3rd place, we had Skull Crusher's entrance. This was kind of a before and after show of showing what the player was before the show and what they looked like afterwards with the help from the TFC page. So they won a personalized profile picture and banner for their personal Facebook or Alliance page. And they also won 100 Battle Pirates gold to spend as you see fit in the game. And just as a note for everybody, we will contact the winners over the next couple of days and organize the transfer of the gold, as well as hooking up with Andrew to go ahead and choose your video and your banner page. So that was 3rd place. In 2nd place, we had Timbo with what I was calling the fire design. 2nd place got a personalized profile picture as well as a banner page for their personal Facebook or Alliance page, and they received 250 Battle Pirates gold to go ahead and spend within the game.
Dun, 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 dun.
And for the first prize, we came up with Roger Z. So should I say the players came up with Roger Z and his Nighthawk design. This, of course, will be shown on the TFC Facebook page as well as the TFC website page. Roger Z will get a personalized profile picture and banner for their personal Facebook or Alliance page, and they'll also get a custom designed YouTube video intro from the selection provided by the TFC. And if anybody has ever seen any of Andrew's intros, he does all of ours intros. He does some incredible work. And of course, the winner receives 500 Battle Pirates gold to spend in the game, as they see wish as well. So thank you all for those of you first. Appreciate people sharing their votes on the page, and hopefully we'll do something like this again in the future.
Yeah, cool. I'd just like to say thanks everybody that took it. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and we looked over quite a few different designs. And the reason we particularly liked this one here was just it's okay. It was one of the sort of like early subs that came into the game that made a huge change to the game. But it's also the way that it's designed and that sort of stuff. You know, there's a bit of work being put into it. It sort of typifies, you know, the TFC. You know, that whole was sort of like, you know, in the forefront of when we started, and it just seems to sort of make sense. We like the way the logo's been put in. Andrew will adjust this with the winner and that sort of stuff. So this is a concept. It'll look very, very similar. There are a couple of things that have to change because of corporate identity and that sort of stuff. Our banner is slightly different now. But yeah, so well done there. I like the name as well, which is great. So Liam personally will contact the individuals and he will sort out the gold. So 500 gold is not a bad little price. Do we agree?
No,
that's not bad, is it?
Thank you also to Ren. Both Liam and Ren were the ones that put up the gold for the prizes. So thank you, both of you, for your generous donations to the cause.
Yeah, Ren, the rich guys did it, so I couldn't, unfortunately. I don't mind doing the shows, but I can't hand out the cash. So yeah, so I'm just saying that hopefully we'll do this again in the summer, and we'll have another banner competition as well, which will take us into the autumn sort of stuff. So with a bit of luck, then we'll get a bit more interest. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly the same sort of amount, but we were feeling that we could sort of like scope to that amount this time. So probably more than you've got from a number of tickets you might have put in. I don't know. It depends who you are, I suppose.
Yeah, and it is surprising that Liam, Bo and Era sort of mentioned it, but Liam allowed a sub to make it as part of the
we did find that very funny, I have to say.
Yeah. I thought he would have liked that immediately.
There's one of him and like 7 of us, so we got to overrule him.
Well, that's another sort of reason we went for the sub. We liked it, and it's good because it's come back in obviously some of the latest targets as well as an enemy sub, hasn't it? So it's still in the game, you know. So yeah, quite like it. Like I said, Andrew will do some fancy work with it and then get it so him and obviously the person that submitted it are really happy, and then you know, it'll go up and it'll be ready for the start of season 3. So excellent. Right, that should leave us with one to go. Oh, here we go. So bugs, fixes, and tuning. There have been a few. We'll just quickly look through these here. As it says there, targets of the expeditions have been updated. Well, we sort of talked about that earlier on. A few minor changes to the assault and skirmish target. Siege target is now shorter. Have you noticed that, anybody? Ben, I know you've been doing them sort of stuff, but the siege
I did.
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, apparently it is shorter. Okay. But there you go. So they've done some work on expeditions. It said here the base hull repair times for the Boulderfast, okay, and yeah, okay. So they've been corrected. Remember the new PvP ships that come out? They said 3 hours to start with. That was a glitch. Okay, it should have just said 30 minutes. They've corrected them. They are now 30 minutes. And the rocket range, as we've sort of discussed earlier on, the Hope has been fixed. So visually, it was rubbish, and then obviously when you're in battle, it went to some ridiculous number of 112 or something like that. It's now correct. I think it's 98.8 or something like that. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
So yeah, visual now shows the 98 as well.
It should all be 98.8 now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so you'll probably, guys, have to replace it in your base now and slightly adjust where you've had it before, because it should be, and you can work it out, because obviously you can do your patrol range. Clearly it won't patrol because it's a static ship, but you can adjust your patrol to range to 98 and a bit, and you should be able to see that now. I think it's even 98. Yeah, Ford's got 98.6. something along those lines. So you agree with that, Hefe? Is that about right?
Excuse me?
The range for the Hope, 98.8 or 98.6, something like that, isn't it?
I think so. I haven't run it since, I just assumed it's right. I was curious though. Did you guys discuss early in the show if the I mean, we see it every week, and people that have more than one Zealous never noticed it. But there appears to be. We see it every week, but it appears to be the change to the FM, the 115 target. Did you guys discuss that earlier?
Yeah, we did quickly just say that there seems to be an
okay.
awful problem with the FM targets, and particularly icebreaker fleets are getting trashed.
Yes.
And even monolith fleets, if you only have a single Zealous.
Yeah.
And not trash, but I was like, I was running through them, driving the same way for a month or however long it's been. And I was doing it for instant repair on the map or no damage. And then next thing I know, I'm taking a half an hour of damage per target. And then I put in basically pretty much an empty Zealous. With it, replaced it, and now I'm back to 0 damage. But it's got a few countermeasures and an engine, but not much else. And I went down to my damage.
It feels like someone added an extra 0 to explosive damage.
Something's not right. I know what it is. I mean, everybody in the icebreakers, and I went and tried one. I did all my targets as singles, and I ran them 6 targets and that stuff, and I couldn't get it down below 2 hours, and just over 2 hours damage on my icebreakers. And I was getting 40 to 50 minutes. I could do 6, and now I'm only doing 3.
Yeah, it drains.
Would it not be something to do with the countermeasures?
It could be a countermeasure issue, and I thought to myself, was it raid points? Alliance points? Is it obviously the specials and that sort of stuff? So it isn't. But the some of the missiles are getting through when they never used to, because I looked at my previous videos and I've uploaded plenty of videos, and even my tutorial one that I did, where to drive and that sort of stuff. I reran that a couple of times just to check, and the difference is phenomenal. And explosive damage, you're right, where the rockets seem to be getting through the countermeasure. So
the biggest difference there is the explosive. Once you run out of your explosive charge, which happens much earlier. If it didn't happen before, it's obviously happening now, and you're taking a lot more damage. As soon as that runs out, you're in deep trouble.
Yeah, and the problem is obviously with the icebreaker, you've got to go and hit an awful lot of buildings to get your maximum protection up.
Yep.
But obviously then if your charge is running out, you need to get out a target to obviously let your charge build up again. But then obviously you've got less buildings available now to go and stack up your icebreakers, so they've got max protection. So it's a catch-22 scenario. And things they've just been selling it yet again, splash screens have been coming up saying, buy the icebreakers, here's a deal, it comes with the flagship. Come on, guys, let's not rob people from the left hand and the right hand. Let's get this fixed. So I am ticketing that personally. Because I'm not impressed. It shouldn't, the only thing that's changed is the raid is completed. It was fine before the raid. We're supposed to have settled this FM, and it shouldn't be changing. So, and it is. It seems to be affecting a lot of people. Clearly, those that are using, twin Zealouses and a couple of, mortar holes, they're doing okay. Single Zealous fleets, even with the mono flagship, are struggling a little bit. So
that's why I was thinking it might have been the countermeasures, because the dual Zealous or the triple Zealous, they add accuracy. You know what I mean? So I thought, well, maybe it's something to do with the countermeasures down the road. Yeah,
I think you could be right. There's definitely more getting through, especially the executioners, and they are absolutely hammering. Once they get through, they do hammer icebreakers. So it could be partly that as well. But yeah, I notice explosive is definitely getting eaten up pretty quick on the charge as well. But that could just be the number of rockets coming through as well. So I don't know. Something's not working quite right. But it definitely needs looking at. But we'll see what happens. So rocket range on the Hope, like I said, go back to 0.3 there. That's been fixed. And as you've just seen, I clicked on Venom's screen there. Can you just put your patrol range up, Venom, if you wouldn't mind, mate? Just so we can just confirm that fact, because it actually says 98 now, doesn't it, as well? There you go. Look, he's just about there. So that proves that it is now absolutely sorted. Okay, so it actually says range 98, and he's actually got a 98 once he uses his patrol range, which is very handy. PowerPoint, sorry, price pack 4 in the FM, there was an issue collecting it, but that was fixed pretty quick on, to be honest. But people couldn't collect their chest in price pack 4. And the last thing is we noted that the update for this week won't be happening until Wednesday, 27th. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So I put delayed in brackets there because it nearly always seems to be on Wednesdays now. So frustratingly so, but that's just the way it is. And that's what I've got. So, Ben's got anything else?
Wouldn't it be good if Kix would employ a proofreader? So that,
how many times have we said that? I think Hefe has the same issue. I know Robin has the same issue, and
because
I know
the stuff they do isn't bad. It's just they're doing like 99% of things right, and then that 1% is what normally totally stuffs everything up. And then it's a shame.
Yeah, there's been some huge problems with some of the blueprints lately. Some of the blueprints are terrible.
Yeah, certain companies. I work for the first company I worked with for 15 years. Something went out the door, 10 people saw it. It didn't have to be a proofreader, but 10 people saw it before it went out the door. Then I worked for another company for a short period of time, and whatever one person did, that went out the door. So it really depends on how they structure things, because it's yeah, I understand what you're saying on a toxic.
So why'd you leave Kix?
Well, it was that first Scourge raid. Never mind.
Not that I ever want to beat Hefe on one of his shows. We've just hit the 2-hour mark, so that just leaves one screen, and that's this one. Okay, then, and that's just us at the TFC crew, just to say, 12 of us, okay, because there's 12 of us now, just to say, continue having a very Merry Christmas. Okay, I hope you have a good New Year. We will not now have a show now till the new year. Okay, then clearly we'll still monitor the page. There's several of us on because we all get bored very quickly. So we'll be on the page and that sort of stuff. We will not be doing a show for this Wednesday's update. Okay, but we will put the information out on our page. But the first show we'll have is obviously about the 3rd of January. I think that's something along those lines, if I'm right. But enjoy the rest of your break for those that are on one. For those that are back at work already, well, unlucky, you got the wrong job, or maybe. Those with young kids, hope you haven't sort of throttled them yet, and you're still enjoying your time together. So, grr, yeah, exactly that. And all you pirates out there, stay salty, because rum is. I'll say good night, panel.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Have a safe and happy New Year.
Good night. Take care.